Hi there, I'm Dr. Bruce Stewart. I'm the founder and president of ExecuRead. A little bit of background to myself. I'm a lawyer by profession. I spent a number of years practicing as an assistant district attorney with the Department of Justice. Then I left the pure law side and went to go and work for the Coca-Cola company in their legal department. And then in the packaging industry. My involvement with speed reading goes back to my legal days when I was getting killed with the amount of reading material that I had to get through. And I've now been teaching speed reading skills since the mid-70s. The problem that we're faced with is that there's too much information to get through. There are in excess of 500,000 new titles that are being published just in the English language alone. If you take the other languages, it's probably pretty similar. But essentially, we're not getting through the volumes of material that we should. And that is because this information cloud that we've got sitting here contains all of the knowledge of mankind since the dawn of time. And that is doubling in volume every 9 months. The system that we use for absorbing over 90% of new information is an archaic juvenile skill, and that is called reading. We haven't changed our system of teaching kids how to read in the last 300 years. We teach our kids to read the same way that we were taught to read. And we were taught to read the same way that our parents and our grandparents were taught to read. That hasn't changed. So we've got this reading skill which has remained constant at about 240 words per minute for the majority of the population. And we've got this cloud of information that is doubling every 9 months. So essentially we know less and less about more and more all the time. And we're sort of sitting down over here and we're worrying about how soon we're going to get totally overwhelmed by the volumes of information because it's coming down like a monsoon. So my first objective with this training program is to teach you a system of how to increase your reading speed by a substantial figure so that you're able to analyze a lot more of that information and to start selecting what is necessary, what is relevant to your purpose, what is topical, what is viable, and to separate that from the fluff, the rubbish that's in there as well. So it's an extraction process and how to prioritize that. And that's where the triage process, now you're familiar with the term triage used in the medical industry, but here there is going to be some information which is critical. It's survival type reading, it's highly important, it's time sensitive, there's going to be a penalty if you don't do it. So to triage and extract that information and process that information first. Then there will be stuff which is equally important, but maybe you can put it off for a couple of hours or for a day or two. So it's how to prioritize what you do now and what you're going to put off for doing a little bit later, but to do that whole process a whole lot faster. And this is the first step of what they refer to as the OODA-loop, the observe, orient, decide, and act. In the observation phase, we're looking at new information. We're looking at the arriving information, and we're prioritizing what we're going to do first. We're extracting what is usable and relevant. That enables us to then take that information that we've acquired and to orient that against what we already know. That's where we can apply some analytical skills and some critical thinking skills by taking this information and saying, right, how does this impact with what I already know about the subject? Well, we've got two problems there. The one is if your existing knowledge of the subject is non-existent, well, you can't do any analytical skills and you can't do any critical thinking. You pretty much got to take that information on face value. Maybe not such a good decision. But if you have got some good background knowledge and you've got some good subject knowledge, well, then you can evaluate and say, I agree with this or I disagree with it. This is how it changes my existing perception or my existing understanding. And where ExecuRead comes into play here is because you've got this high-speed reading skill, you can fill up this knowledge base very, very quickly with a very large quantity of material, which means that when you get into this orientation process, you can use very good critical and analytical skills. That means when you get into making a decision, your decision is not based upon chance, your decision is based upon good critical thinking, good analysis, good selection of material. It's a good decision that you're going to make. It's not just taking a thumbsuck and taking a guess. That means when you get into acting, that action is probably based upon the best intel that you could have. By increasing the rate of this OODA loop, you get inside your competitor's OODA loop. He's doing the same thing. He's observing, he's orienting, he's deciding, and he's acting. But if you can do it faster than your competitor, you get inside the loop, you take the initiative, and you force your competitor into being a responsive, reactive position. And that's the whole idea behind increasing this, your speed reading over here, increasing your knowledge over there, so that you can accelerate the process of the OODA loop and take the initiative when it comes to changing information. And that is essentially what speed reading is all about. That is what ExecuRead is about. So it's not only just improving your reading speed, comprehension, concentration, retention, and recall, but it's also the strategy and the game plan of how we use that high speed, not just for the sake of reading fast, but how we can use that in a military environment, how we can use it in a corporate business environment, and how students can use that at business school.